Hi everyone, Coach Sullivan here again with MJS Coaching Football. First of all, I hope you subscribe to my channel. And secondly, my background is my 38th year coaching football. I've either been a defensive, offensive, or special teams coordinator as well as a head coach at both the collegiate and high school levels. In this presentation here today on the whiteboard, I want to talk to you about the two different ways that we defend the ISO block to the two-man surface. In this case, it's 21 personnel. Okay. And so when we say ISO X, we mean the surface away from the tight end. It's typically a two-man surface. Okay. And there's two ways that we have to defend against. One is what we call fan. The other is what we call down. Okay. And so in this presentation, the key terms are going to be surface. And in addition to these key terms, there'll be others. We're going to start with surface, what we mean by level integrity. We're going to add what we call bounce fold as relates to outside linebacker play side. We're going to talk about knockback, what that means, and then new terms that are specific to defending the scheme. We have what we call open window, add a gap, plus gap. We have what we call down and dig, fan, what we mean by fence and crossface and who that pertains to. And then finally, as it relates to our force, against this particular play, we call it invert, it's sky. Okay, so how that factors in as well and ties in with the outside linebacker and the safety who has sky support. Okay, so again, thank you for being here with me today, and let's get rolling. I'm going to do the blocking in black marker, and I'll do the defensive reactions in red. Okay, and I'll try not to mess that up too many times. All right, so I have it diagrammed, the two schemes. On top is ISO X fan, on the bottom is ISO X down. I only have the box defenders with the safety on the side of the X, which again is opposite the tight end. So for us, tight end's the Y, X is opposite, tight end Y, X opposite. And again, the specific focus today is ISO X, which is two-man surface. ISO X, two-man surface. Okay, so I'm going to start at the top. And I'm only going to diagram blocking-wise from the backside guard to the play side tackle. That's it. Okay? So starting off with why do we call it fan? Okay, why do we call it fan? Well, first of all, excuse me, the first level, the surface in this case is going to be the guard and tackle. It's a two-man surface, okay? The level integrity, first level are, in this case, our dime outside linebacker, our stud defensive end, our nose, and rover. They're all on the line. That's the level one, first level. Second level are the inside linebackers in this case. And the third level is the safety. So level integrity, first, second, and third, and how it all ties together. Okay? Boom, boom. The fan. Okay? This is the fan. So because of we have an outside linebacker as an immediate threat, okay, and you look that you're going to try and ISO our backer in this case. Okay, they have two, and the fullback is the third. So they got three blockers, and we got three defenders, right? So if they're afraid of our dime, what the fan is, okay, the tackle's going to block out on the dime. Okay, block out on the dime. The guard is going to block out on the defensive end, hence fan, blocking out. Okay, which leaves the center one-on-one with your nose. Okay, and they can do it one of two ways. They can try and zone combo up to the backside linebacker of the mic, or if they think they have pretty good matchup, they'll single block here, and they'll just send the guard up trying to cut off the mic. Okay? So, the fan. That's the fan part of it. Here is the open window and the plus gap. Okay, open window plus gap. When the guard blocks out like that and the center is reaching, it opens. We call that open window. Our inside linebackers are taught always shoot the open window, baby. Shoot the window, right? It's there. It's open. Take it, man. Shoot the window. When the fullback is running through the same window, okay? This is the plus gap, add a gap. You now have to account for you have a gap on this side, a gap on this side, as well as a gap. So now there are 4 gaps. That's the add a gap, right? Before the snap, you had 1, 2, 3 gaps. Now with the fullback there, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 gaps. That's the add a gap. And you got to teach this to your kids. You can't assume they're going to know it. Please don't ever assume they're going to know that. But this is where it's important. You got to teach who is fitting on the extra gap. How do you account for that extra gap? Okay? So now we're going to get to the good stuff, the red, right? How do we teach to defend that? Well, first of all, that inside linebacker, woohoo, right? He's going to shoot the gap. And this is the simple rule of thumb we give him. You go find the butt of the guard. If he's fanning out like this, butt side is going to take you through, as you're looking at him, the right side of the fullback, which now you have the nose on this side, but you also have your 51 technique inside linebacker scraping over to account for that gap on that side of the fullback. That's it. Go butt side. Guards out, you're out. You're on the right. Okay? You'll see how it's different down here in a second. So that's how we defend it. And then we also bring in, it's not up here, but the spill and pry technique. So now, as the shooting a window, right, going butt side, so he knows he's going through the right, he's got that gap. So we got 1, 2, 3, all 4 gaps are accounted for. He's going to rip, spill with his inside, in this case, his left, through the right of the fullback as he's looking at him. And then he's going to pry around, trying to make the tackle on the tailback. Spill and pry, spill and pry. Same technique we talked about in our power diagram. Okay? Presentation. So as he's opening the window, that's his rule. So he knows it's very simple. Butt side, guards out, you're out. Guards down, you'll see in a second. You're down. So we're just exchanging which gaps on either side of the fullback. That's it. Okay? So now, that's the fan. What's meant by both bounce and fold as well as fence and cross face. Well, first of all, the bounce, the dime in this case, tackle's coming to him. He's going to step up and he's going to deliver a blow, keeping his outside arm, leg, everything free. And he's waiting for that tailback to be forced to bounce to him. We're a spill defense, so we're forcing the ball to bounce. Okay, the ball hopefully will bounce. If it does not bounce, then he will fold in. It's not nearly as likely because more often than not, when the fullback sees opposite color here, the tailback sees opposite color, he's looking to cut back to the Mike linebacker. He's got the Mike, he's got the nose, he's also got a bending defensive end. Okay? So everybody understand that, I hope. All right, so then now, where does the invert come in? Force invert, and we'll talk about fence and crossface, okay? The safety's in step, and he's coming down. He's got his 2 yards outside landmark, but he's reading the same surface, so he sees that scheme. He sees the fan. He settles at 5 yards. That's the invert. If he runs up to here, the ball's going to break behind him. We don't have contain. So you got to teach your kids what we call course of ball. Okay? Course of ball, C.O.B. This is a downhill, what we call A gap or B gap. That's a freeze or a belly course of ball. Freeze is A gap, belly is B gap. Okay, course of ball. Freeze equals A, belly equals B. And that course of ball, the safety who has force, zit steps, 1, 2, 3, reads it. He's always thinking he's got to be worried about pass also. In this case, he's at 8 unless I signal 10. So that's the 2 to 8/10. He's going to zit, zit, zit. He's going to come down. He's only coming down 2-3 yards or so, and then he sits and settles. So now he's in a position to fold in should the ball break second level. And he's also in a position to come up if the ball is able to somehow bounce outside our dime. He's in a position to do both. But we don't want him up here for that reason. So that's the invert portion of force. Okay, and taught you the course of ball. The fence and crossface, and then I'll come down here to the down. All right, that is the defensive end. Okay, remember, pressure key is the tackle knocking back. As he's doing that, he's taking a little reach step to the guard. His visual key, well, that visual key is coming to block him. And he's not feeling any pressure from the tackle because the tackle's fanning out. Okay, so he is going to build a fence. He is going to rip into the backfield shoulder because he's first level. And he's going to constrict. He's not going to give. He can't get blocked out, creating a wide hole so the back has all kinds of options and room to run. He's going to build a fence, we say, through that back shoulder. Build it, constrict it, use the ass and ankles of the guard to constrict the hole, right? The ass and ankle concept. So to get to the ass and ankles, and that's the guard, use the guard himself to constrict the hole. That's where the fence comes in. And so the last portion of that crossface, as your defensive end's doing that, when the tailback disappears behind the guard, he sheds him, crosses his face, and pursues to the play. Okay, it's getting messy, I know. But that's what it means. Build the fence first, use the guard's ass and ankles to constrict the hole. Tailback disappears behind the guard, cross the face of the guard now and try and pursue. Everybody's always pursuing and trying to make the tackle. Everybody. Okay? So that's ISO fan. The only difference between ISO fan, it's a big difference, and ISO down, okay? Hence the down and dig. It's still an open window. It's still adding a gap, okay? It's still going to be force and invert. It's still going to be bounce and fold, although now the fold is much more likely. So here's the difference in the down, okay? The guard doubles down, blocks down on the nose. They double the nose, okay? And either they double the nose and kiss off up to the backside mic, or they stay in the nose, and the reason they're doing ISO down is your nose is a real pain in the neck. They've got to double them, okay? So now you're more likely to get that action from the guard to try and block the backside linebacker. But what that does in this case, teach your kids, they're probably going to widen the splits a little bit more, okay? Because now this tackle is forced to try and dig out the defensive end, and that's not an easy block. Okay, that's not easy at all. Okay, so teach your kids to recognize there's a bigger split, and that should come from your inside linebacker. Okay, so all he's going to say is wide, 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 and that's an alert to the defensive end. Get ready to get across the face because your visual key, your guard's probably blocking down. Okay, so he just makes a little wide call, wider splits. Going to dig him out. See, now they don't have anybody to block him. This is why he's going to be a bounce fold guy right off the bat. Here comes the fullback. So now we'll go back up here. Go butt side. If the butt's out, you're out. Butt's in, you're in. So now he's on that side. He's on the inside of the fullback, staying right off the butt of the guard. That's how we teach it. That's how we rep it. And you can do it in a 5-minute drill once a week. Even if a team doesn't have two back, you practice it anyway. Keep it fresh. And the reason we do this, because by design, he's the B gap defender, our defensive end. He should be bending in the B gap right there. So now that necessitates your backside linebacker. Remember, right? Same color exchange. Same color is going to cross his face. So now he works outside. So now up here, play side linebacker was on the outside of the fullback. Backside linebacker was on the inside. Now play side linebacker is on the inside of the fullback. So the fullback's left. Now the backside linebacker is on the right. Again, that's how we account for the extra gap. And now it's very likely, okay, that there's going to be a bounce because there's going to be an awful lot of same color there. He's going to try and hit the B, meaning the tailback. He's going to get color from get to see opposite color from the defensive end, which should force a bounce of the ISO right to our dime. And then here, it's the same. He recognizes the scheme, the splits. He hears the wide call. He sees the ISO coming. He comes down to that invert. If the ball hits there, he's in a position to make the play. If the ball does bounce, he executes his force. Okay? So that is how we handle ISO X with a fan scheme, ISO X with a down scheme. Okay, and that's how we account for that extra gap. Anytime it's a fullback or you have a pulling lineman wrapping up into the hole, that adds an extra gap. So you've got to teach your kids that concept first and then how to account for that extra gap where people fit in. Okay, your linebacker fits. Okay? So as always, please, I hope you subscribe. I hope if you have any questions, you'll reach out to me at coachmjsullivan@gmail.com because I would love to talk football with you. Excuse me. And I hope you enjoyed and learned a lot from watching this presentation.